When my mother tore the uniforms of our devoted maid, the billionaire's response left us in tears. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It started as a regular morning. The sun beamed through the kitchen window, sparkling off the pristine marble countertops. I sat at the table, heart racing, trying to finish the cereal that tasted like cardboard. But then came the scream. A sharp, raw sound that made my blood run cold. I looked up. My mother stood there, trembling hands clutching ripped fabric. The maid, Maria, stood frozen, her eyes wide with disbelief. How could this happen? Who were we, in our towering mansion, to treat someone like that? Maria had been with us for years. She became part of our family, laughing with us at silly jokes, singing softly as she worked. Her hands were always warm and comforting. I could often hear her humming while dusting the shelves. But in one impulsive moment, my mother's fury had shattered that bond. Get out! You can't wear that anymore! My mother yelled, her voice echoing in the vast room. The words hung in the air, heavy and cutting. I could feel the tension crackling like static electricity. I glanced around, even the walls seemed to shiver. A murmur swept through the staff. I saw them exchanging glances, worry etched on their faces. Whispers filled the space, thick and accusatory. Did you see that? How could she? The judgment hung like an oppressive cloud. Maria's face turned white, tears pooling in her eyes, shimmering like glass. My heart ached. I wanted to scream, to unleash all the anger building inside me. Instead, I stood frozen, helpless. My hands trembled. What could I do? Then came the billionaire's voice. Deep, rumbling, as if he had just stepped into the room from the shadows. Enough. His tone was final, commanding. Everyone froze, holding their breaths. A chilling silence took over, thick with uncertainty. What would he do? Would he side with my mother? The tension was unbearable. I could feel the weight of the moment crushing me. My heartbeat thudded loudly in my chest. As his piercing gaze fell on Maria, she looked down, her face now a picture of defeat. But I saw a glimmer of rebellion in her eyes, a silent plea for vindication. And just as quickly as it started, the room seemed to swirl into motion. I waited for his response, the world spun but I remained rooted in place, caught in the frenzy of fear and hope. Would he stand up for her? Or would his silence complete my mother's cruel act? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash the like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The tension in the air crackled and pulsed as I awaited the billionaire's response, my mind racing through scenarios, each more agonizing than the last. Time seemed to stretch endlessly, a taut string ready to snap. My world felt like it was shrinking, sucking all the air from the room until it was just me, my mother, Maria, and the imposing figure of the billionaire. Maria, he began, his voice low and deliberate, this situation doesn't define your worth. In that moment, I dared to hope. But hope was a fragile thing, easily crushed. My mother's jaw tightened, her eyes glinting with indignation as if she could incinerate him with her glare alone. What are you implying? She shot back, her tone like ice, each word coated in disbelief. The atmosphere shifted, and I sensed the impending clash. This isn't about your authority, he replied, eyes hardening as he fixed my mother with a steely gaze. It is about decency and respect, values you seem to have forgotten. The staff exchanged whispers, their expressions shifting from shock to something I desperately sought, solidarity, perhaps even courage. Maria stood with her head held just a fraction higher, her dignity flickering like a candle in the wind, but the acknowledgement of her worth was not enough to dispel the fear that kept her rooted in place. In that instant, I admired the billionaire for standing up. He didn't have to, he could. Walked away, kept his distance from the storm. Yet, he had chosen to confront it. Maria, he continued, softer now, not all fights are battles won with fists. Sometimes, the simplest act of kindness is the greatest rebellion. His words seeped into my chest, igniting a flame of compassion that had been buried beneath the turmoil. Perhaps kindness was the answer. It was an unexpected warmth in the chilling reality I felt suffocating. Then, I glanced at Maria, her expression shifted slightly, and for a fleeting moment, my heart swelled with shared understanding. Please, he urged, allow me to speak with you. The billionaire gestured toward the door, his voice calming but firm. In that brief interlude, something shifted within me. If he could protect her, if he could stand boldly against my mother's fury, why couldn't I be the voice that shattered the silence? Mom, I whispered, each word a struggle against the lump in my throat, you're making a mistake. Maria is part of our family. You don't treat family like this. The words hung in the air, and for a fleeting moment, everything paused. My mother turned to me, her face twisted in disbelief, rage simmering just beneath the surface. It felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, my heart pounding in rhythm with the approaching calm of a storm. What are you saying? She asked, disbelief laced with thinly veiled anger. You think your maid deserves respect? I think she deserves more than this, I found myself saying, the words emerging more powerfully than I anticipated. She deserves recognition for who she is, not just your servant. Her silence was heavy, a pressure cooker on the edge of explosion. Looking back at Maria, whose eyes looked haunted and hopeful all at once, I made a choice. Maria, please, forgive my mother. I will talk to her, I promise, I choked out, realizing just how much had changed. Maria offered a tremulous nod, yet I could see the uncertainty in her gaze. The warmth of humanity flickered amidst the coldness of my family's entitlement. Perhaps my voice could be the bridge, the start of something destined to make things right. I don't need your forgiveness, Maria finally spoke up, her voice steadier, each word carrying weight. I only want respect. The implication struck my heart, reverberating through me like a haunting melody I'd always heard but couldn't fully comprehend until now. Then let us fight for that together, I said, a resolute determination flooding my spirit. Suddenly, the billionaire stepped toward Maria, his expression earnest. Together, we will find a solution, he promised, as though sealing a bond that transcended the walls of the mansion that had too often felt like a gilded cage. But just as hope seemed within our grasp, the house erupted with an unexpected sound, the shrill ring of my mother's phone, cutting through our moment of solidarity. She answered, her face twisting in quick astonishment, then horror. No, it can't be, she uttered, a sense of panic creeping into her voice. But how? No, not yet. My heart froze as I saw the blood drain from her face, the reality of whatever news she had just received shifting everything. In that second, affection, anger, resolve, and fear mixed together, creating a tempest within me. The man who had just stood up for Maria seemed to sense it too, tension tightening the air, an awakened sense of dread. Mom, what is it? I pressed, my voice thin with concern, while fear palpable settled in the pit of my stomach. But in that moment, my mother turned to me, her eyes wide and glistening, and just like that, the horizon of our storm shifted ominously, like thunder rumbling in the distance. I have to go, she gasped, almost breaking, the once confident matriarch faltering. They've found us. I felt a sudden chill envelop me, the fear wrapping around my heart like tendrils of darkness, coiling tighter as I braced for what came next. The implication hung heavily, casting shadows in the light of our newfound solidarity. The storm we faced was only beginning, and the revelations ahead would shake the foundations of everything I thought I knew. The air in the room thickened as my mother uttered those words, and I could feel the foundation beneath me shift unsteadily. It felt as if the universe had tilted, throwing everything I understood about safety and security into chaos. I grasped for clarity amid the confusion swirling in my mind. They've found us? I echoed, the syllables tasting bitter on my tongue. What do you mean? My mother's face grew paler, and I could sense her internal struggle, the facade of authority crumbling around her. I didn't want to involve you, she rushed, her voice trembling, almost unrecognizable. We had to keep it hidden, protect you. I took a step closer, heart pounding, desperate to peel back the layers of her cryptic words. Protect me from what? Mom, just tell me. The The tension thickened, filling the space where our shared understanding used to dwell, replaced now with a sense of impending doom. The billionaire shifted beside me, his expression open yet clouded with concern. Normally confident, he wearied noticeably under the weight of the revelation unfolding before us. "What are you talking about?" he pressed, still trying to grasp the swift turn of events that had left us all reeling. "Threats," she finally whispered, her voice cracking under the pressure. "The kind that come from debts that can't be repaid, from decisions I thought I could control. They've even looking for us," and I thought her voice trailed off, leaving space for the unsaid truths that hung heavy in the air. Maria flinched at my mother's admission, her eyes wide as she took a step back. In that moment, the distance between us felt insurmountable, and I wondered what fears loomed in the shadows of her past, a past I had never taken the time to understand. It was a mirror to my own, fragile, stained with secrets and woven through with pain. "It doesn't matter now," my mother continued, shaking her head vehemently as if trying to erase the fear clinging to her words. "What matters is that we need to leave now." "Leave?" I repeated, my stomach dropping. "Run from what? Who's after us?" The concept felt surreal, like the plot of a movie I had never wanted to see. The gravity of her request sat heavy between us. "We can't just abandon everything, Mom." "Maria, I don't care about these things," she interrupted, her voice sharp and full of desperation. "It's you I'm worried about. I have to protect you. We can't be here when they come." A chill swept through the air as I looked at Maria, her expression torn between loyalty and fear. "I can't leave you," I uttered, desperation creeping into my tone. "Maria, I want to help," she said, her resolve hardening. "You're right. I want a voice, and I want to run from this." The billionaire caught my eye, a flicker of understanding passing between us. He stepped forward, steadying the tension in the room. "Together, we'll figure this out. You'll have options." That word options felt both like a promise and a burden. I was so caught up in the chaos that I forgot about the glimmers of hope, the small kindnesses we shared, the possibility of people willing to fight alongside each other. "No." My mother's voice broke through my thoughts, a command woven with defiance. "You both don't understand. This is my fight." I blinked at her, anger surging through me like lava. "No, it isn't just yours," I shot back, my voice rising. "We're all in this together now. You can't just expect us to follow you blindly." The strain in her expression deepened, twisting her features into an unfamiliar mask of vulnerability. I dared to step closer, my heart breaking a little more. "The longer we stand here arguing, the closer they get. We need to make a decision together." Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, this time with an insistence that drew the room's attention. The panic in her eyes flared into something deeper, something primal. "I can't answer it," she breathed. "Why not?" I asked, drawing back, feeling the atmosphere crackle with tension. "Who is it?" As if anticipating my question, the billionaire reached for her phone, glancing at the screen. "It's an unknown number," he stated, his voice low and edged with caution. My heart raced as that thread of anxiety transformed into something sharper. "What is it?" "I don't know," she whispered. But if it's them, I felt hope flicker like a dying flame, desperation clawing at my chest. "Mom, we can't let fear dictate our lives. We want to be puppets to anything or anyone. I refuse to stand idly by anymore. Now it's too late," she screamed, eyes narrowing in anger and fear. "No," Maria interjected softly, a quiet strength replacing her initial terror. "It's only too late if we don't stand together." Just as it seemed we might anchor some semblance of resolution, my phone buzzed violently in my pocket, shattering the tense moment. I fumbled to retrieve it, glancing down in disbelief at the name on the screen. "Jasper?" I murmured, astonished, fingers shaking as I answered. "What do you want?" The voice on the other end was frantic, breathless, and sharply aware of the stakes. "We don't have much time. You and your mother need to leave immediately. They're closer than you think. Trust no one, not even." The line cut off abruptly. A cold wave swept over me, mingling with the fear coiling tightly around my heart. My mother's unyielding determination faltered as the implications of the call loomed heavy, shadowing every thought like a dark cloud. "Who was that?" she demanded, but her voice trembled under the pressure of uncertainty. My heart clenched painfully, the weight of the unanswered looming heavily. "Someone who knew," I whispered, realizing just how fragile our time was. We might not have as many options as we thought. The ground beneath us quaked again, the weight of unresolved conflict pressing down on us all. Outside, the tumultuous winds began to howl, mirroring the discord within. I grasped at the remnants of our joined determination while a deeper tension rose. This was just the beginning, but I could feel the shadows creeping in, and whatever was waiting on the other side promised to test every bond we had forged. Torn between loyalty to my family and my desire to protect those I cared for, I could see no clear path forward. And I wasn't sure I could keep them safe when the real storm was about to break. The cold gusts outside howled like a restless spirit, rattling the window panes, and inside, the atmosphere thickened with a tension I could taste. Moments scattered around us like fragile glass shards, buried under the weight of unspoken fears. How had we arrived at this inscrutable juncture? The fear pulsating in the room was palpable, a living entity, and I was its reluctant vessel. Maria shifted beside me, her gaze fixed on the door as if it might open to deliver some form of salvation. It was then that I realized how fragile our collective hope truly was, balanced precariously on a tightrope spun from secrets. Would we hold together through this looming storm, or would our cautious threads unravel? "I need to know who it was," my mother insisted, folding her arms tight against her body as she planted herself against the wall, her presence electric and filled with the charged energy of dread. "You were on the phone with Jasper. You need to tell me everything he said." I felt the walls closing in, suffocating the small remnants of courage I had been clinging to. "He said we need to leave now," I murmured, avoiding my mother's penetrating stare. "That they're closer than we thought." "Closer?" Her voice was barely a whisper, but it sliced through the uncertainty like a knife. "We can't just run. I want to be driven away like a rat in the night." Her defiance hung in the air, intertwining with my own gnawing frustration. "Mom, we don't have a choice," I pleaded, stepping toward her, ready to bridge this growing chasm between us. "This isn't a game. It's not about pride anymore. We're in danger." The billionaire stood in the corner, his presence overshadowed by the emotional storm brewing within the small space. He was alert, his eyes flickering between us, assessing the vulnerability unspooling at the seams. "You need a plan," he finally said, his voice steadying, "a way to ensure your safety without losing everything. Maybe we can find someone who can help." "Help?" My mother scoffed, brittle anger radiating off her. "Who? This is my problem, not yours. I can't just stand by while you drag us deeper into this hole," I exclaimed, my voice breaking under the strain. "Mom, I care about you, but I won't stand in your way or watch you drown." My words were like a spark in the dark, igniting a tumultuous fire within her. She turned away, the tight clasp of her hands revealed a thin veneer of fear. I could see it in her shoulders, in the way her figure trembled with unspent turmoil. Maria stepped forward, her voice soft yet unwavering. "Let us not lose sight of what matters. We can navigate this together. The more we resist, the more isolated we become." She reached out to my mother tentatively, her hand resting gently on her arm, trying to bridge the rift and provide some warmth. Unable to hold back, I pleaded, "Mom, please. We need you. Let us help you. Just this once." "Trust," my mother whispered, more to herself than anyone else. "Trust has been a fragile thing in this family." She turned back to me, and for a moment, everything stilled, even the storm outside seemed to hush. Her eyes glistened, and I could see the fractures in the mask she had so carefully constructed. "I wanted to protect you from this life. Shield you from everything wrong." Her voice cracked, and at that moment, I saw her fragile, human, and overwhelmed by her own choices. The weight of our shared burden had begun to crack her veneer, and behind it lay a restless heart that had fought a long, solitary battle. The billionaire's deep voice cut through the emotional fog lingering in the room. "We all have scars," he said, looking between us with a weight that belied his affluent stature. "You're not alone unless you allow this fear to isolate you." His words clung to the air, mirroring a truth I wished to believe. But that hope was tethered to a deeper ache, the uncertainty of who we could trust in the chaos surrounding us. My heart raced at the rawness of the moment, but a flicker of vulnerability shared might bring us together. "Do you think we can fight this?" I asked, my voice lingering. "Somewhere between fear and hope. If we stand as one, we might stand a chance." My mother met my eyes, the wall between us not fully erased but beginning to dissolve. "You might be right, but the price could be more than we're willing to pay," she warned, her features taut with caution. A hesitant nod from Maria urged me forward, providing the small push I needed. "Let us build something together," I urged, feeling a ripple of solidarity swell among us. As we stood amidst this unyielding chaos, the tension slowly lightened, the blanket of despair beginning to lift, even if just slightly. Then, an unexpected sound reverberated through the room, a cautious knock at the door. Our eyes went wide, the breath hitching in my throat. "Who could that be?" Maria whispered, the hope we'd only just begun to forge threatening to invert into dread. With shared glances of anxiety and determination, we moved toward the door as one. The air buzzed with uncertainty and an exhilarating possibility. Whatever awaited us beyond the threshold might redefine everything we thought was true. And as I reached for the doorknob, doubt clawed at my insides. Was this the lifeline we sought, or an inescapable trap waiting to ensnare us all? The seconds stretched painfully, and I knew that once I opened the door, there would be no turning back. The only certainty? The path before me was fraught with risk, and every choice carried a weight that could alter the trajectory of our fragile lives forever. As my fingers hovered over the doorknob, the soft but urgent knocking echoed in the fragile space we occupied, amplifying the uncertainty that loomed like a thundercloud above our heads. I could feel the energy shift, every heartbeat reverberating with the anticipation of revelation or ruin. "Should I open it?" I whispered, my voice barely more than a tremor. Maria, standing just beside me, nodded as if to affirm the necessity of action, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of trepidation. Meanwhile, my mother remained silent, her expression unreadable. I took a breath, steeling myself against whatever awaited us. With a decisive push, I swung the door open. The figure before us, silhouetted against the hall light, stood in stark contrast to the uncertainty within our lives. A man, dressed in a crisp suit, dark hair slicked back, the epitome of poise. His eyes sparkled with an unsettling blend of kindness and mischief. "I hope I'm not intruding," he offered, taking a small step forward, "but I believe you all could use a friend." The chill of suspicion crept back, mingling with curiosity. "Who are you?" My mother's voice wavered between wariness and something like hope, a flicker of desperation coloring her tone. "I'm Oliver," he introduced himself smoothly, glancing between each of us with a practiced ease. "I come on behalf of Jasper. He is concerned for your safety." The mention of Jasper deepened my frown, memories of our last, fraught interaction crashing into the forefront of my mind. "What do you mean he is concerned?" I asked, my voice sharp. "How do we know we can trust you?" Oliver smiled faintly, as if he expected this reaction. "You don't, not yet. But I come with an offer. Jasper has resources, people who can help you navigate what is coming. He didn't want you to be alone in this fight." My heart quickened at the possibilities threading through his words, a lifeline offered by someone connected to the very chaos that sought to consume us. "But why you?" Maria interjected, her tone tense. "What's your interest in this?" "I have my reasons," he confessed, shadowed emotions crossing his features. "Let us just say I believe in second chances. And for what it's worth, I know what it's like to stand on the brink of despair." The room fell quiet, Lucy's eyes shifting between us, seeking reassurance. But deep under her gaze, I noticed a crack in her armor of defiance, a tiny spark of exhaustion and fear that echoed my own. "Jasper's activities have drawn unwanted attention," Oliver continued, stepping into the room as if it were his own. "You need to consider moving, and I can expedite that for you, but it means you'll have to leave some things behind." The implication was heavy, a sank weight pressing down upon my chest. "Leave what behind?" "Comforts, connections," even he faltered and looked momentarily toward my mother, as if gauging her reaction. "Some people. Your lives have become too entangled with whatever darkness Jasper is fighting. If you want to stand a chance, you must distance yourselves from your past." My mother inhaled sharply, stepping back as if he had struck her. You want us to abandon everything we know? Everything that makes us who we are? The indignation brewed in her voice, a gale brewing just beneath her surface. He is not wrong, I said quietly, grappling with the reality of his words. What good is our comfort if it poses a threat to our lives? The words tasted bitter on my tongue, but as I spoke, I could sense a shift in the room. Looking into Maria's eyes, I saw the same thought flickering this one tea just about us but the broader struggle we found ourselves caught within. But my mother's refusal hung heavily in the air, and as despair deepened, Oliver's fierce gaze bore into her, challenging the very definition of resilience. I understand it's hard, but you have to recognize that sometimes, survival means making unimaginable sacrifices. What are you willing to risk? Silence enveloped us, interlacing with palpable dread and the mounting weight of decisions not yet made. I could feel hope attempting to ascend through the fog of uncertainty, but my mother's expression warned me that dangerous tensions could erupt. Are you saying we should abandon Jasper? My mother's voice trembled with the prospect. He is family to us, no matter what happens in the shadows. Family? Oliver echoed, his tone edged with disbelief. If you choose to stand with him, you're inviting danger into your lives. Sometimes family can be the very threat you're trying to escape. Her shoulders tensed, I noticed the bristle of defiance hardening her features. And you think you can offer a better family? I'm not asking you to trust me completely, he replied, his eyes softening. Just consider this: sometimes people step in to guide us not because they wish to lead us astray, but because they see the path we can no longer discern. If you and your mother stay here, you risk everything, and perhaps even more than you know. As the words hung suspended between us, a spark of recognition flickered over my mother's face, a hesitant realization that perhaps scrambling blindly through the wreckage of our lives would not yield safety. In this world, it is our choices that define us, Oliver continued gently, seeing the crack in her resolve. Fight or flight, burdened by truth or shackled by ignorance. This is the moment of reckoning you face. Just as hope began to unfurl its wings, a loud crash reverberated through the apartment, the glass of the living room window splintering into a rain of shining shards. We all startled, the urgency of the moment spiraling into chaos as the darkness outside bled into our fragile sanctuary. It swept on us like a wave, and I knew I could feel it in my bones that a decision had to be made, one that could shift the very foundation of our lives. Was the enemy at our door, or merely a distraction to keep us from understanding the deeper peril we faced? The realization settled heavily in our chests, and I knew that whatever followed would irrevocably change us all. The shattering glass seemed to echo through the very fabric of our lives, each fragment a memory fractured and at risk of being lost forever. As I stood there at the threshold, a daunting tempest swirled in my heart, contrasting with Oliver's calm demeanor beside us. Get down, he commanded sharply, instinctively moving to shield Lucy. Maria grabbed my hand tightly, her pulse racing beneath her skin, and for one brief moment, we were unified by fear. An ominous shadow loomed closer as breaths quickened and our sanctuary began to feel claustrophobic. Beyond the door, the night erupted into a cacophony of chaos, shouts, and rapid footsteps echoing in hurried succession. What is going on? My mother's voice trembled, caught between shock and growing alarm. Suddenly, a figure burst through the door, poised yet disheveled with an unmistakable urgency. It was Jasper, face pale and haunted, like a messenger born from a storm. They're coming, he gasped, eyes darting between us. We need to move now. My heart twisted not only in fear but in the conflicting emotions of seeing Jasper again after everything. In that moment, I could barely comprehend the complications at play. Trust wavered like a fragile ember, but the necessity of survival loomed larger than my doubts. I told you this would happen. Oliver countered, taking a step toward Jasper. The tension crackled like a live wire. You've endangered them by being here. Shut up. Jasper shot back, his voice vibrant with strain. They deserve to know what's going on. To know? Oliver retorted. All you've done is drag them deeper into this mess. You think they can survive the fallout of your choices? My mother interjected, her voice rising above their dispute. Jasper, what are you talking about? Why are they coming for us? Just tell us the truth. But that stopped him. Uncertainty clouded his features, insecurity creeping into his bravado. 1,000 thoughts danced in his mind, and I could see his entire world teetering. I was betrayed, he eventually confessed, his voice shaking like a fragile leaf. People I thought I could trust turned against me, and in their eyes, you're collateral damage in this chaos. They want to use you against me to get to me. Use us? Maria echoed, drawing the depths of the situation into sharp focus. How could anyone want to hurt us like that? Jasper's gaze turned grave, desperation etched upon his face. Because they know I care about you. And that makes you a target. We have to move now, there's not a second to lose. As my mother processed this, her expression twisted between fury and despair. The family bond she sought to uphold began to crack under the pressure of reality. Jasper, you're saying you put our lives in danger? I didn't know. I thought we were safe, he replied, visibly shaken, grappling with his own tumult. I never wanted this, they're ruthless. We all have to go together, and you have to trust me. Please. Trust. My mother's resolve hung by a thread, the very word resonating in the fragile silence that followed. It was like walking a tightrope over a void where everything felt perilous and uncertain. The front door strained against the pressure of oncoming chaos, and with every moment that passed, I felt the walls closing in, my heart racing in a rhythm marked by fear. But then a flash of vulnerability crossed Jasper's eyes, the kind that tugs at the heartstrings and seeds the potential for forgiveness. Together, we can find a way out, he urged, catching my gaze with sincerity. I promise we will figure this out. You have to hold on to that. In spite of the turbulence, the spark of hope flickered to life in the corners of my heart. With a collective breath, I took a step toward him, silently urging my mother to reconsider. Mom, we need him, I said quietly, still gripping Maria's hand. If we stay here, we're sitting ducks. Jasper knew enough to get us warned. Maybe he holds the key to getting us out of this. The hesitation coiled like a spring around us, winding tightly as if time itself stood still. My mother's face twitched with conflicting emotions, the shards of anger and fear battling against the glimmers of hope and understanding. Then came a louder crash, a sound that sent a chill deep into my bones and shattered the moment we were clinging to. The room was suddenly brimming with adrenaline as Jasper moved in front of us, as if to absorb whatever would come, a living shield between us and the encroaching darkness. Now! He shouted, urgency bursting from his throat. We're out of time. With my heart pounding, I watched as my mother's resolve shifted, the instinct of survival taking root in her soul. Okay, she finally said, the tremor in her voice unveiling her fear. But if we do this, it's as a family, all of us, and you will not leave us behind, Jasper. We need to trust one another. His nod was grave, a pact forged in the heat of desperation. Maria squeezed my hand, her warmth a reminder we were still a unit, bewildered but ready to face the unknown together. Oliver stood aside, the constant specter of warring allegiances lingering in the air, but I sensed an unexpected kindness blossoming in the darkness surrounding us. Without another word, we gathered a few essentials, and my mother took Lucia's hand as we made our way towards the door. But the moment we crossed the threshold, the blinding light outside revealed the true horror of our situation. Dark figures closing in, a wall of shadows sent to reclaim us, and as chaos erupted anew, a chilling recognition settled in my chest. The unseen hand of fate had touched us, and this time, the stakes were higher than ever. We had chosen our path, but the question that haunted me was how long before it unraveled? The countdown had begun. The chill of the night swept over us as we rushed into the dimly lit street outside, our hearts racing in unison with every hurried step. Shadows darted from every corner, and every sound seemed magnified: a gasp, a whisper, a footfall echoing ominously. In that moment, clarity had eluded us, and we were navigating through a labyrinth of emotions, fear a constant undertow pulling us towards uncertainty. Jasper positioned himself between us and the approaching figures, his jaw set with determination, yet I could see the flicker of panic in his eyes. Stay close to me, he urged, his voice barely above a whisper, strained yet resolute, as if he were trying to shield us from more than just the physical danger. Look! Oliver shouted, pointing to a narrow alleyway to our left. This way! It felt like a confession of our vulnerability, yet that alley was a lifeline in the dark amid the tempest. We sprinted towards it, the rustle of our hurried footsteps swallowed by the inky gloom. I could feel the rush of the world around me narrowing into a solitary heartbeat, my family clinging to each other, as though the solidity of our bond would protect us from the chaos. We ducked into the alley, the walls seeming to close around us, constricting the claustrophobic sense of our reality. A flickering streetlight cast an eerie glow, and somewhere in the distance, the wail of sirens became an ominous symphony, mingling with the heavy thud of my heart. I could barely catch my breath as Jasper backed up against the wall, eyes darting left and right, trying to assess our options. I could see him struggling to find the courage he had promised. "Oliver, you take Lucy," my mother whispered sharply, urgency propelling her words. "Maria, stick with Jasper and me." I felt the world sway as those decisions were made. My heart clenched at the thought of Lucy in Oliver's grasp, a protective instinct surging forth. What if we couldn't keep her safe? What if the dangers we had fled were too immediate? "Do you think we lost them?" Maria asked, pressing against my side. Her voice trembled slightly, and I could feel the weight of her fear digging into my resolve. I don't know," Jasper murmured, glancing over his shoulder as if expecting a figure to materialize from the shadows. "We can't stay here. If we're found, everything is over." That ominous statement echoed in the back of my mind as a sense of dread pooled in my gut. The distance between us and safety stretched unbearable in that narrow alley, like a tightrope suspended over an abyss. Each fleeting moment felt precious yet pre-stressed with anxiety. "Jasper," I ventured, striving to extract the core of his strength, his resolve. Yet, the fragility underlying his demeanor unsettled me. "What did you mean when you said they'd use us against you? What does that even mean?" His gaze was heavy, shadows flickering across his features like fragments of an unfinished story. "There are people who want to keep secrets buried, and if they think they can manipulate me through you," his voice caught, and I felt the tether tighten around my heart. "I would never let that happen, but they're willing to hurt you. The lengths they go, I can't protect you all on my own." An unexpected kind of softness enveloped us, then the fleeting humanity that flickered in the darkness. I noticed Oliver's hand, now protectively around Lucy's small form. He glanced over at my mother, who watched Jasper with a mix of anger and something softer and understanding born of shared terror. "Look," my mother said, her voice breaking through the claustrophobic atmosphere. "All we have is each other. No more blame. Whatever has happened, we have to find a way forward as a family together." Even with chaos just beyond our refuge, her words sparked a faint thread of hope. Perhaps, in the depths of despair, illumination awaited if we embraced our shared fragility instead of pushing against it. As if summoned by the force of our inadequacy, the sound of hurried footsteps invaded the air, growing closer, sharp and demanding, and Jasper's expression shifted from hopelessness to raw urgency. "Everyone, against the wall!" he hissed, shoving us tightly together, shielding Lucy's small frame with his body. The shadows of figures approached, creeping like ghosts of our past. In that moment, the boundaries separating survivor from victim blurred, and I felt the weight of commitment settle into the pit of my stomach. Would we really pull together as a family, or was this yet another illusion created by the fading light? Suddenly, a blinding light swept across the alleyway, illuminating everything in stark clarity. The menacing shapes emerged into view, their features hidden beneath dark hoods, and they were scanning every corner, every tremor of sound with predatory precision. "Jasper!" one of them called out, voice oily with menace. "We know you're here. You can't hide forever." With a racing heart, I gripped Maria's hand tightly. Every secret we had harbored, every lie and fear, condensed into the peril of that single moment. Jasper's eyes locked onto mine, a silent acknowledgement exchanged like an unspoken pact sealed in desperation. Just then, a burst of blinding light suddenly erupted from above. The clang of metal on metal echoed vibrantly around us, and I dared to hope. Had help finally arrived? But as the figures turned towards the source of the commotion, our safety hung precariously on the edge of not just the physical shadows, but the very trust that bound us. Would this surprising light reveal salvation, or would it expose our vulnerabilities like fragile wings torn in a storm? With my chest tight with anticipation, the answer hovered just out of reach, obscured by the tumultuous shadows closing in. The night deepened, and with it, so did our fate. As the blinding light pulsed above us, momentarily drowning the alley in brightness, time felt suspended, caught between the hope of salvation and the dread of impending doom. My heart raced violently in my chest, blood roaring in my ears as I strained to hear the sounds surrounding us in the revelatory glow. The figures, momentarily startled, turned sharply towards the commotion, their menacing demeanor wavering under the unexpected brilliance, but the light faded as quickly as it had ignited, plunging us back into the clutches of darkness. The figures began closing in again, murmurs growing more aggressive, venom lacing their words. Jasper, you shouldn't have gotten involved in things beyond your control. It's only a matter of time before we drag you back. Each threat pierced through me like icy shards, echoing Jasper's earlier fears. The twisted connections of our lives felt like puppeteer strings, threatening to draw us all into a dark choreography we weren't prepared to face. Jasper remained rooted, his fierce protectiveness marred by an undercurrent of desperation. In a moment of instinct, remembering my mother's words about our united front, I broke the spell and whispered fiercely, "We have to trust your gut, Jasper. Whatever's out there, we're stronger together." Before he could reply, the cold, methodical voice of one of the hooded figures cut through the night like a knife. "We know you're hiding something, Jasper. Come out, and maybe we can settle this without any more complications." A surge of anger ignited within me, not just for us, but for the cruel reality that waited just out of reach. "We don't have to listen to you," I shouted, recalling how my mother always stood firm against tyranny, little armor against the world's unyielding cruelty. "You don't control us." Much to my surprise, the figures hesitated. It was as if my outburst had momentarily caught them off guard. In the thin slice of silence that followed, I sensed a shifting dynamic, a surreal power balance where their animosity clashed with my unexpected boldness. Jasper shot me a look filled with both pride and concern. "Stay close," he whispered, fear flashing across his face, and I suddenly realized that this wasn't simply a fight for survival, but a battle for our identities, the very essence of who we were in the face of such darkness. Then, a narrow beam of light flickered momentarily at the far end of the alley, and with it came the sound of hurried footsteps, jarring, yet urgent with purpose. I caught a glimpse of a figure rushing towards us, and my heart leaped instinctively. "Help!" I screamed, pushing against the walls of uncertainty that felt suffocating. As the figure closed in, the hooded men turned, suspicion flickering in their eyes, allowing us a precious moment of distraction. For a heartbeat, everything felt as though it could shift. But then, as the reality of the situation pressed back, my breath hitched at acute recognition. "Maria?" The voice, warm yet laced with urgency, pierced through the thick fog of fear. "What are you doing here?" I squinted into the light, the emerging figure revealing familiar features that sent a tidal wave of memories crashing over me. My childhood friend, Elena, was standing there, breathless and wide-eyed. "I tried to reach you, but it was too dangerous to come alone. I had to get away." Jasper snapped, breaking the momentary spell, and instinctively pushed me closer to him as a menacing figure turned back towards her. "What kind of game are you playing?" one of the hooded men yelled at Elena, his tone boiling with twisted authority. Suddenly, an idea sparked in my heart, a flicker of courage igniting through the chaos. "If you want anyone, it's me you're after," I screamed, desperation guiding my words. "Get away from my brother and family. You think you're valuable?" The same figure spat back, eyes narrowing as they advanced menacingly. "You think calling to us brings you strength?" As if fueled by a surge of defiance, I stepped forward, heart pounding fiercely against my ribcage. "It doesn't matter what you think." But my bravado fell away as the darkness seemed to seep deeper, surrounding me, confusing light with shadow. I could feel them closing in again, but the warmth of Elena's presence lingered. "That's not how it works, Maria," Jasper interjected, placing himself defiantly between us. "We can't stand a chance if we keep exposing ourselves." The situation felt unbearably fragile, and suddenly, I heard a crash far off, the sharp echo reverberating through the alley to remind us that safety always felt fleeting. The world felt oddly distant, as if we were suspended at the precipice of chaos, and then, from the distance, an unexpected emotional surge hit me, a realization that no matter the danger surrounding us, we shared a bond unyielding enough to withstand this night. It ignited a flicker of resilience that refused to be dimmed, but another silhouette emerged indistinctly through the darkness, and abruptly, I felt like a pawn in a chess game where the stakes were our lives. I turned instinctively, searching for Jasper, hoping for a sign in his eyes to trust him, to embrace the uncertain path ahead. But behind him was a revelation that tore through me like it was my mother, standing there, her expression morphing from fear to outright fury, and then outright heartbreak as she raised her hands, clad in a white formal uniform, a stark standout in the oppressive black surrounding us. "What have you done, Jasper?" She spat, raw emotion unraveling her voice, and my very core shattered at her unexpected action. The air thickened with tension, the night still lingering heavy with our precarious choices. What had she come to confront? What revelation lay behind her appearance? The walls of my understanding shook to their foundation, leading me to a precarious cliff where trust wavered and hope felt tenuous. Could we survive whatever storm awaited us, now gambled in the nexus of our most fragile relationships? As the silence deepened, I held my breath, no longer certain of the path forward. The weight of my mother's piercing gaze felt like a physical force, holding the entirety of the moment in its grasp. The uncomfortable silence that followed her declaration hung thick between us, an unspoken rift echoing with the magnitude of unwelcome truths. My heart pounded not just with fear but with premature grief for the ties that might unravel before our eyes. "Mom," I managed, my voice trembling. "You don't understand. Aren't you tired of lying?" She shot back, bitterness threading through her words like a sharpened knife. "Everything I've done for you two only to walk into this. You think playing the hero is commendable? You're just playing into their hands. No. We're fighting back." Jasper interjected, his voice lifting with passionate defiance that danced dangerously close to desperation. The flames of indignation flickered in his eyes, urging me to hold on to hope, but the defeated slump of my mother's shoulders spoke volumes. "Do you even know what you're risking?" she whispered, the tremor in her tone cracking my heart further. "They're not just anyone. They'll ruin us. All your ideals they want to protect you." Every ounce of strength I had built was testing its limits as another wave of harsh reality crashed over us. The figures loomed ever closer, their resolve seemingly amplified by our turmoil. "Enough!" one of them growled, licking their lips like a predator sensing weakness. "You can't protect them, Maria. You may have made a choice, but they will always find you, all of you." The integration of fear and denial left me paralyzed in its grasp. "I can't go back to hiding," I murmured, glancing between Jasper and my mother, the conflict tearing at the threads of our family ties, yet I grasped the faint hope that had carried me thus far, and in that glance, a flicker of understanding passed between Jasper and me, a resolute promise woven silently. We'd face whatever came next together. My mother's eyes softened for a heartbeat, revealing the mother I had known, a woman of ferocity and love who had once fought valiantly for our family's unity. "You don't understand, my love. I was trying to protect you. I thought I could shield you both from this darkness." Her voice faltered, searching for an anchor in the storm brewing around us. "Protect us how?" I countered, desperation clawing at my throat. "By keeping us in the shadows? By letting them control our lives? No, we can't let fear dictate our choices anymore." As I spoke those words, I sensed an unexpected shift within myself, a defiance I didn't know I had, rising to meet the challenge my mother had ultimately presented. In a heart-wrenching moment, I saw flashes of the choices that had led us to this bleak alley: betrayals, misplaced trust, and the insatiable hunger for freedom. What if embracing the darkness brought us to our true selves? Then, without warning, the hooded figures surged forward. My breath hitched, heart racing as I braced for the confrontation. But in that terrifying blink of an eye, something astonishing happened. A blast of sirens pierced through the oppressive air, loud, jarring, and jettisoning apprehension into chaos. The figures exchanged wildly anxious glances, indecision coloring their faces. The sirens grew louder, drawing nearer, stirring the air with urgency and the faint hope of salvation. A stiffened resolve settled over my mother and she squared her shoulders, her determination reigniting. "Run! Now!" she ordered, urgency propelling her movements. "Where?" I asked in a gasp, the alleys morphing into a labyrinth, turning on their axis in a race against potential peril. "Anywhere but here." My mother darted forward, grasping my wrist tightly, yanking me along as we sprinted into the night, the haunting chaos of the chase enveloping our every breath. I could hear Jasper close behind, his hurried footsteps echoing my own. Milena lagged behind, her presence a stabilizing force that tied everything together, but I could see the resolve waver in her eyes. We won't leave you, Elena. Come with us. I shouted, adrenaline fueling my voice. Just go. She cried, tears brimming, but a newfound courage surged within her. Don't slow down. As we sped into the night, darkened particles of fear tangled in my chest, tangling with exhilaration. Hopes and dreams danced around like fireflies on the edge of flickering oblivion. But just as we reached the main street, a resounding crack sounded behind us, like thunder splitting the night. Instinctively, I turned, just in time to see one of the hooded figures jolt forward, extending a dark limb towards us. You can't outrun your fate. They screamed, their voice filling the night with authority. Suddenly, Elena stumbled and fell, reaching out with a hand as if grasping at salvation. Help! She cried, and time felt suspended once again, an agonizing moment where choices collided under the weight of desperation. With my heart lodged in my throat, I could either lead us forward or turn back into the darkness that had claimed us for so long. Jasper, we can't leave her. I gasped, caught between instinct and fear, our family unity hanging in precarious balance. But as I took a step backwards toward Elena, another realization struck, a harrowing understanding that our lives were tangled deeper with the darkness than I had ever imagined. Would I be ready to find out just how deep those connections went, or would I lose everything that mattered most in this dangerous gamble? The air was thick with uncertainty, echoing with the promise of unforeseen revelations that loomed just ahead. Could we ever truly escape the shadows of our past? The answer danced just out of reach, trembling in the air and urging us toward an unpredictable future. The sirens wailed as we tore down the street, my heart racing not just from the fear, but from the weight of every decision that had brought us to this point. Elena's desperate cry echoed in my mind, the image of her reaching towards us burned behind my eyelids like a warning sign. I felt like I was standing at the edge of a precipice, the chasm below filled with darkness and uncertainty, while behind me loomed a past I could not leave behind. Jasper, we have to go back. I shouted, the words bursting forth as though they could summon the strength I lacked. But Jasper held firm beside me, caught in a storm of conflicting emotions. No! He insisted, desperation gripping his voice. If we turn back, we risk everything we've fought for. His conviction was a steady anchor, but doubt gnawed at the edges of my determination. My mother remained by my side, panting heavily yet somehow emanating a sense of renewed purpose in the chaos. We don't leave people behind, she said, her voice burning with a fierce resolve that had been dormant for too long. We can't let fear dictate our choices. But even as those words sought to guide me, the figures were closing in, shadows merging with the fog that shrouded the night, drawing nearer with each heartbeat, each indecision weighing heavily on my heart. Suddenly, the world around me tilted. An unrelenting urge took root. I felt the warmth of unity pulling at the seams of my resolve. Okay, I gasped, looking back at Elena, who had recovered her footing but was still fumbling beneath the weight of the pursuers. We'll go back together. Jasper shot me a warning glance, but it was my mother's grip around me that steadied my resolve. Together, I echoed, the word pooling in the depths of my determination. The figures were upon us now, livid, menacing shadows silhouetted against the flashing lights of the approaching police cars. You think you can change your fate? The lead figure snarled, their voice dripped with disdain, completely unaware of the strength surging through me. In that moment, it all clicked. This wasn't just about running anymore. This was a fight for who we wanted to be, a stand against the fear that sought to shackle us. You don't control us. I shouted, the words erupting from a place deep within me, a fire igniting my heart as I stepped toward them, the battle lines being drawn anew, and I won alone. Jasper, Elena, my mother, each of them stood by my side, reclaiming their own strength, ready to confront the darkness. They hesitated briefly, the flicker of indecision racing through their ranks, and I seized that precious moment. We have made choices for ourselves, and we will not be collateral damage in your games, I declared, my voice trembling yet strong. You will not break us. Before anyone could respond, the sound of screeching tires interrupted the confrontation once more. The police had arrived, lights flashing and sirens blaring, slicing through the night like a beacon of hope. The figures exchanged frantic glances, momentarily paralyzed by the dawning realization that they were now outmatched. Retreat! The leader yelled, panic curling in their voice as they turned to flee into the darkness from whence they came. As the officers emerged from their vehicles, I couldn't shake the weight in my chest. This wasn't merely a battle one, it was a shift in the entire landscape of our lives. Slowly, I turned to face my family, their expressions a mural of disbelief and newfound strength. Did we really do it? Jasper breathed, eyes flickering with a mix of confusion and awe. I think we did, together, I replied, feeling the power of those words settle around us like a cloak. My mother stepped forward, drawing us all into an embrace, a tightly knit circle that warded off the remnants of fear still lurking in the shadows. Tears brimmed in her eyes, and for the first time, I saw how much she'd sacrificed to keep us from this. I'm sorry, she whispered, voice thick with emotion, for everything I didn't say, everything I held onto for too long. I just wanted to protect you both. We're all scared. Mom, I said, pulling back to look into her eyes. But you gave us the strength to stand and fight. As the officers began to secure the area, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders, revealing the path of healing that lay ahead, not just from the danger we had escaped but from the turbulent waters we had waded through together. Elena stepped forward, her presence grounding me. You know, she said, a soft smile illuminating her features, fighting this battle has only strengthened our ties. Sometimes the darkness can lead to clarity. Just as the sirens began to fade into the background, that realization dawned over me like a break in the storm. Clarity washed over me, understanding that it was our choices, our connections, that defined us, not the past or the darkness we had faced. And though the road ahead would be daunting, the warmth of my family enveloped me, reminding me that we had forged something unbreakable between us. It felt raw, yet invigorating, a new beginning amidst the remnants of our turbulent past. As the sun began to rise on the horizon, burning away the shadows of the night, we stood strong, each of us a testament to what it truly meant to fight not just for survival but for each other, ready to embrace whatever the future held. In that moment of dawn, where hope collided with reality and uncertainty melted into light, I realized with an all-consuming clarity together, we could rise above the darkness and begin anew. And as the sun broke over the horizon, its light bathing us in warmth, I knew this was only the beginning of our journey, a legacy we would build hand in hand, unyielding in the face of the storms yet to come. We are more than our scars, I whispered, finding a new anchor in the promise of tomorrow. Our story has just begun.